boy who is not prepared. Yeah. So my question is, whatever it is that was being done, even traditionally, I know you are not that old, but whatever it is that was being done there, were people ready to prepare someone physically for the marriage? Because some of these lessons would think someone is being prepared to go to heaven or something.
Yeah. I think, like I said, that in the systems they have put things, but those things have been failing. The other thing that has made those things to fail, for me, I see it as something that traces back to how we received Christianity, because most of these issues are taught so well in cultural perspectives.
I am human, did not feel our pain. Couldn't do the murume, I see emotion. I see emotion.
Welcome to Gota Men's Issues, and we are so excited to have our guest today, Pastor B Mapokotera. And today we are looking at a topic which we are looking at how religion is preparing boys for marriage. So in this topic we are going to be looking at so many religions, not just Christianity, but I'm so glad that we are starting with Christianity, because I want to hear and see how this religion is taking care of boys and mentoring boys. So Pastor, welcome to the program. I'm so excited to have you today. And I'm hoping that we are going to hear a lot of insights concerning how your religion, Christianity, is mentoring boys. Welcome to Gota Men's Issues.
Thank you so much for this, and thank you for the opportunity for us to come and have a discussion that is as good as this. And we believe that it's going to be transformative, and it will build a new generation that will be better than what it is now, seeing that we have a generational problem where men are kind of disappearing in the communities. Women are complaining that we don't have men who are good enough because there are platforms that men used to be trained, and those are now few. So with this initiative, I hope and trust that whatever number that is going to be transformed is going to impact on the communities. So we appreciate the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pastor. So before we get into the program, I just want to encourage you, if you are enjoying our programs that we are broadcasting here on Gota Men's Issues, I want to encourage you to go to Rosane TV on YouTube, and you just subscribe. The more subscribers that we have, the more advanced the guests that we are going to have on this program. So you don't pay money, you just subscribe. Just click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. When you do that, you are going to help us so much and help us in making this program reach so many people. Follow us on other various platforms as well. We are there on Twitter, we are there on X, formerly Twitter. We are on TikTok, we are on Instagram, and we are on Facebook. Please go to all those platforms and just follow us. But thank you so much for joining today. Now, Pastor, the first question that I'm going to ask you today is, how does Christianity as a religion define the role of a husband in marriage?
Christianity as a religion finds its definition on the role of the husband in a marriage from the scriptural perspective, because it's a Bible-based faith. So it taps into what the scripture says, that the man is the head of the family. But the headship of the man does not mean he's the oppressor of the family, but it means he is like the pillar of support. He provides protection, he provides love, he provides comfort to the family. And Paul, even when he writes, he indicates that men should take the image of Christ, should imitate Christ in what they do. So in other words, the role of a man is more sacrificial. It's where you are selfless. A good man, according to the definition of the Christian faith, is someone who does not think of himself, someone who is not oppressive, someone who is not abusive, someone who values the children and the wife more than himself. So I think that's what I can say when it comes to the definition of the role of a man according to the Christian faith.
All right, thank you. So with that powerful definition, do you have any specific teachings that or principles that are guiding boys as they prepare for marriage? So you have defined a man, especially when you said he's like Christ to the family or Christ to the woman. He's like a sacrificial lamb to the family, or he's the sacrifice to the family. That's his role. Do you have any specific teachings that you give to your boys when your boys are about to get married, or when your boys are ready to get married? Do you have any specific teachings that you give to them that align them with that teaching of Christianity or that vision? Because the reason why I'm asking that is because if you don't raise your kids, someone else is raising them. Either their iPad is raising them, either YouTube is raising them. How are you raising your boys? How are you preparing them for marriage, teaching them this powerful lesson that you have just given me?
On that one, I'm going to keep it real and be honest. In the books we have it. In structures and systems we have it. But in practice, it's not something that is happening effectively, in the sense that most of the things about the Christian faith are affected by commitment. You as a pastor, despite the fact that you'll be having everything that is needed, but if the congregants are not committed to tap into what you have, you will be like a well that has got no water but with no one drinking it. So what's affecting the Christian faith when it comes to mentoring the boys, it's not its framework, but it's its members. So there are people who actually blame the Christian faith, and I don't agree with that. It's not the fault of the faith, but it's the fault of those who partake in the faith, who fail to commit to the doctrines and the teachings. Because mentoring a boy means instilling good values, instilling responsibility, and those are teachings that we teach every time in church services. But they need practicals where people should meet, and as we do things, even as we discuss, play games, we see who is irresponsible and we mentor them in the process. It's not about just talking about it. It's also about doing it together with them.
Okay.
So on the side of the Christian faith, I think that's what I can say, that we have it in the books, we have it in the systems, we have the elders, we have the pastors, we have the overseers, we have all systems that are needed to mentor people. But at times we fail to be effective due to the commitment of those that are supposed to be mentored.
Okay. I maybe before I want to be the devil's advocate. I want to be the advocate of those that are supposed to be mentored.
Yeah.
But do we have systems in place where we say, this is the structure? If a boy wants to get married, this is what you go through. Yeah. We are going to take you through lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we say you are ready. Or maybe do we have systems which we say, once our boys turn 18, we are now hoping that anytime we can hear from with them coming to us and say, oh, I've got my girlfriend and I've brought my girlfriend and I want to get married. Do we have structures like that? Well, the reason why I'm asking that question is because I was a boy once and I got married once. Honestly, probably I really wanted to be taught, but there were no structures I didn't even know where to go before I get married. So I just, and the challenge that happened with a person like me is that when I got married, I was already a pastor. So everyone expected me to know.
Yeah.
But as much as I was a pastor, but I was a boy.
Yeah.
I needed someone. So do we have those systems set up in the church where we say, if a boy is interested today, if a boy comes to you and say, Pastor, I'm interested, give me the curriculum of what I'm supposed to go through. Not you as an individual, because you can do it as an individual. But as a church, does the church have, so if we take you out of the church and just leave the church running, do they have some things that they're going to say, these are the things that we are going to be teaching the boys who want to get married?
Yeah, on that one, it's quite interesting. I'll take it from a few generations and connect with the recent generations, we lost some of these things along the way. I grew up in AFM, in the Christian faith. I was raised there. We had what was called Boys Fellowship. So with Boys Fellowship, boys would meet and they'll be having someone who is like their leader and you will be like the mentor. So the role of this person was to create programs where boys would meet. When the programs for boys were funny, we used to go to the pastor's house to clean, do the yard. As we are doing that, we are learning some work, we are learning some interaction skills, and we would go and play ball, we would go and do some games together. That's how we were learning in the boys' fellowship. So there was the system of the boys' fellowship, not to mention the Sunday school, but the boys' fellowship. Then from there is what is called premarital counselings. As we grew up, we used to have youth leaders that would say, if you have your girlfriend, come to me, I have to know. Youth leaders used to know that so-and-so is in relationship with so-and-so. Even if the parents don't know, even if the pastor doesn't know, but there is someone who knew about the relationship. It was a system that was in place. So along the way, we lost it when others did not uphold those systems. And also, as generations changed, the kids of today, they feel entitled. Like, my way, it's my way, I don't have to take your way. So because of that attitude, there was a neglect or a departure from mentorship. They ended up deciding to say, no, I do it my own way. I don't have to do it your way. So the systems like Boys Fellowship and other platforms started dying down gradually. And with the busyness that people are getting into, we lost those systems. So as we speak, most churches, they have those systems in place, but they are not operational.
Okay. Now, my major, you have spoken about the systems. Are you sure those systems, even though they were there long back, are you sure those systems were really touching the sensitive topics on marriage? For example, I was speaking to the co-founder of an organization called Sex Talk Australia, and she was saying to me, when they get into schools, they are starting to teach about sexual issues to children from preparation, from prep, which is preschool, up to high school. And we as Christians, we are waiting for someone to turn 18 and start talking about it to them. And with the abundance of sexual material on social media today, we are quiet, but our children are learning these things from someone. Because why I'm talking about this is because when I was growing up, I learned about marriage and about sex more in the streets. Because from 13 years old, from 12 years old, there is this brother in the streets who is married. When he walks, he begins to tell you how good marriage is or how bad marriage is. They begin to teach you, they begin to tell you about sexual issues. At home, they were quiet. Up to today, at this age of mine, I've never had someone sit me down and talk about sex. I've never had someone sit me down and probably, we started talking about marriage when I was already married. So what I'm saying is, even though we had those programs in the church growing up, were they really touching on the proper matters that are supposed to be touched on? Or they were just, I attended a number of, what you call those bachelor's parties.
Bachelor's parties, yeah.
Just before marriage. People will just be telling someone, young man, when you get married, you know, you need to do this. There is no clear strategy.
Yeah.
There is talk. So everyone who is there is probably presenting themselves as someone who is very good at treating their wives. There is no practical lesson.
Yeah.
If we are talking about sex, there is no practical lesson
there
on how it's done. But I've peeped through some of these ladies, what do you call them? Kitchen teas.
Yeah.
Pastor, there are serious issues there. They go there with everything. They go there ready. And they are teaching the girl. But this girl is being taught, prepared for a boy who is not prepared.
Yeah.
So my question is, whatever it is that was being done, even traditionally, I know you are not that old, but whatever it is that was being done there, were people ready to prepare someone physically for the marriage? Because some of these lessons would think someone is being prepared to go to heaven or something.
Yeah. I think, like I said, that in the systems they have put things, but those things have been failing. The other thing that has made those things to fail, for me, I see it as something that traces back to how we received Christianity, because most of these issues are taught so well in cultural perspectives. So when we received Christianity, we were taught that our culture is dead, and we threw away the culture and some of the teachings that it had about nurturing a man. Because as a boy who grew up in Mashonaland, I am supposed to be mentored as a man in Mashonaland. How they mentor a man in Mashonaland. So it's my culture. I stayed in a place called Mbembesi. I worked there as a pastor. They had their traditional or cultural practice which they train or groom the young boys. They call them izinkwengo. So they go for a practice called umguyo. It's a very beautiful practice. But the question that I've always had was, if I give my life to Christ, do I go for umguyo?
That's the point that I want to drive right now. Because I want us to see, or I want us to talk about how Christianity has made us abandon certain cultural practices that were beneficial to men.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to look into the church right now and see. I feel like we're raising very weak boys and very weak men. Because when Christianity probably came, it made us abandon the cultural practices that had nothing evil on them, but they were helping to mentor. Because honestly speaking, it's probably like it's treated as taboo for you to then stand in front of boys and start talking about sex explicitly from a Christian point of view and from a Christian perspective.
Yeah.
But if the cultural role was left to survive, it was going to be easier.
Yeah.
Practical lessons were going to be given to boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's you spoke about what happens in Bembesi. That's a culture.
That's a culture.
And those are people that are training people according to their culture. But does that make me evil? Does that make me a non-Christian if I'm taken through those cultural?
Yeah, I think that's where we may need to revisit our values in the Christian faith, because when we abandoned some of the good practices of the culture, we were left in the wilderness, in that the Christian faith comes into a community of beings, of human beings. I always say one thing that unites us with other religions is the fact that we are human. So as humans, there are basic things that my son is going to relate with to a son who is in another faith. To someone who is not even in any faith. They will have some human being things that they will relate to, like the puberty changes. When those things are happening in their bodies, the other kids from the other religion or the other cultures will be knowing what all that means. Mine is in the desert because he has got no fiber of the culture to teach them. So I would wish if in our Christian faith we would integrate the cultures of the communities where we stay in. When I was in Bembes, I became so close to the chief, and I would visit him, and I would talk to the community leaders like I was one of them. I discovered that some of those things were not even bad, they were not evil. But because they are being done by people who are cultural and who are traditional, people would view all that as being evil. But there was no spirituality in it. It was just physical training, where a young man is being trained to be a man, to defend himself, to clean himself, to wash his body, and to take care of things. So we lost all that. And we have boys who do not know how to bath as boys. We have boys who do not know what the changes in their bodies mean. We have boys who are now trying to prove that I am mature using violence. When instead, when we were raised, violence is not a sign to prove that you are mature. Your stability in your mind is the way to prove that you are mature.
Yeah.
So that's where Christianity, our faith or our religion, needs to try and look into those issues. I know some may not agree with us, but that is the truth.
All right. So you mentioned maturity. Is there a way, let's not talk about just marriage, but is there a way that Christianity as a religion develop emotional maturity for, okay, let's say for marriage, or is there a way we develop someone emotionally for marriage? We've talked about the cultural aspects and so forth. Let's say even someone is in the marriage now. Is there a way that we develop someone emotionally for marriage? We do, I know there are couples seminars and so forth, but are they good enough to develop someone emotionally for marriage?
I would say no. For some, yes, very few pockets. Here we are talking of the faith in general. Very few pockets are doing it.
Yeah.
But generally, we have neglected nurturing the emotional side of a man or the psychological side of a boy for marriage, because we have programs that are so tight. Like I said in the beginning, that commitment is one challenge. You as a pastor, or let me use myself as a pastor, I've got all those things written down. I've got a work plan. When I wake, I put down my work plan. I've got all those things on my work plan. But for all the years that I've pastored, you struggle to get people together. And when that happens, you fail to prepare them psychologically. And it's not only me. A lot of pastors can agree with me that it's not easy to get people to come together. They don't want to come. So as much as we have things to help prepare them psychologically, those whom we want to prepare should also be committed. So right now, as it stands, there are no systems that are preparing them psychologically. We have systems that do firefighting, like couples mostly, they do firefighting. Some of the problems that we are facing with the couples are problems that happened to the boys when they were 13. So which means I was supposed to start preparing my boy for marriage from the time he was weaned. According to the scripture, what the Jews would do when a boy gets to around, is it 5 years or so, when they do the weaning ceremony, he was now handed over to he will be handed over to a mentor or a rabbi who would start nurturing them in their faith, doing the Torah with them, teaching them the Shema, and also teaching them how to be a man. So at that stage, they will be instilling values that prepare this young man, because there are things that a husband should have learned at 5. If you don't talk about them at 5, then you talk about them when he is 2 years in marriage. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. So you spoke about how Jews would mentor their boys and would and you spoke about how probably there's some form of resistance.
Yeah.
Are we not using maybe old models? Because what would happen from a cultural perspective, when other cultures, they would go for what they call initiation, where the boys would probably be circumcised, and then when they come back from that initiation, they've got that pride where they're walking in the village and they're being called men.
Yeah.
Now mahawa rume, baba, men. So the pride is what was driving someone to. Don't you think our programs nowadays, probably we need to tailor make them in such a way that there is some form of excitement in them? If you know that the boys that are around you, they love music or they love sport, you just infuse whatever lessons and teachings that you have with sport. When they've played and they're sweating, you sit them down. Guys, today we're just going to talk about how at your age, maybe they're 13-year-olds or 14-year-olds, how at your age you are supposed to start behaving and preparing yourself for marriage and so forth. Because like I told you, the talk is there within the community, the talk is there on the internet. But our voice, your voice, might be lacking.
Yeah.
So how do you think don't you think it can be more impactful if you infuse such programs with entertainment so that they come, because probably they don't have any pride anymore to be taught, or have been taught a lesson. Yeah.
In all police, I think you have nailed it. I was actually talking to one friend of mine, saying this approach of saying a youth leader in our church has to be 40 years and below doesn't work. Because these guys, when they are around 18, 19, they cease to relate to someone who is 40. If they get a youth leader who is within their age group, you will come up with programs that are relevant. I come up with programs that I know because I was raised within those. And of interest is the fact that when we grew up, that's how we were actually raised. People would do some things that are fun to raise the boys. I know of a barber shop in Sunningdale where we used to go, Queen's Kwa Potato. That barber shop, you would find men sitting there outside. There was a slug and there were chairs. Potato would put some chairs around. Though he would be working on one man, but there are other chairs, not for clients, but for men, old men to come and sit. As they are sitting there, people will be talking. And you know, discussions will be coming. But you would be told, you see that boy is losing it because he's not patient. You see that one is failing because of this. So we were mentored in those circles. So even as a church, like you said, we need to come up with things that are fun, things that are engaging for the young guys. And apparently we are traditional. We stick to let's meet at church. Let's meet at church. So we need to come up with those things. Yeah.
All right. You spoke about the responsibilities when we started, the responsibilities that the man is expected from a biblical perspective. Are we playing any role in your faith or in your spirituality? Are you playing, what role are you playing in shaping the boys' readiness for the responsibilities of marriage? Like, yes, we know there are certain things that you might not be talking about, but are you playing any role in just shaping them to be ready for marriage, especially when we look at the responsibilities that are going to be on their shoulders when they get married? Are we shaping them, or we are making them sit down and start hammering? I remember when we were in Sunday school, we had a curriculum in Sunday school. Our curriculum started from 0 to 25 years old. You are still in Sunday school, right? And the curriculum was designed in America. We were taught, I think, as we grew older, when you are now approaching 25, we were taught pneumatology. We were taught, pneumatology, we were taught, the jargon of the Holy Spirit, the jargon of the Bible. You get it? Bibliology. There was nothing relevant to me now getting ready for, and this is what we are now, what we call Sunday school. So, what are we doing? Are we doing anything? Are you playing any role in playing an emotional, in preparing them in making our boys ready for the responsibilities in marriage? Because if I know what the Holy Spirit is called in Greek, it's not going to help me in marriage.
Yeah.
Yes, it might help me from the spiritual side. I don't know how, but in marriage, it's not really going to help me. So there are certain things that I was hoping that when you Christians design your curriculum, let's say for Sunday school, yes, you may start teaching the biblical verses and memory verses to the little ones. But as these kids are growing older, can we separate the boys and the girls and start initiating something that is preparing them for where they are going?
Yeah. I think it's quite important. Let me use myself as an example. And I know there are other pastors out there, like on the discussion we are having, there are others who are actually doing these things that we are talking about. We don't take that from them.
Yeah.
But we are saying in the general system we face challenges. So as an individual, I have allowed myself to be vulnerable. I go on social media. I show myself, I take videos of myself doing different things. There's a time when I recorded a video cooking, sweeping in the house. Right now I've got another one which I did when I was doing the yard, cutting the lawn and doing everything. I was trying to be vulnerable with the boys, to say, this is me, I'm a man. This doesn't take your manhood away from you, so be responsible. There is another one which I did when I was washing the clothes. So I'm trying to use my practical life on the social media as a way of influencing the boys so that their minds will be structured in that way. Also, I have got platforms, WhatsApp platforms. The other one has got about 12 guys, the other one is about 15 if I'm not mistaken. They are different age groups. Where I talk to them, I send messages to them maybe once or twice a month. In the times we have group calls where we talk. But in those ones, the other one I'm talking on general terms, the other one I'm actually talking on particular issues about being a man and trying to mentor a man. So on my side, I discovered that these guys online, you can get them on platforms, you can get them. Then once in a while, you create a day for an activity. You can go bowling, you can go paint bowling, shooting each other, you know, all those things. Then you sit down and have a chat. It takes a minute to say something that will change life for years.
Okay. All right. So, so in other words, you have got programs that you have tailor-made, or that you are making. In your programs, your personal programs that you are doing, are you addressing any specific skills, especially that are very important when it comes to marriage, like communication and financial management, because they are essential in for modern marriages. You know, when we grew up, our parents never used to communicate you know, when Baba comes back from work, he just takes his newspaper, he sits down, Ma is cooking over there. We some of us didn't really know these people actually talk. We were actually surprised when we would see that Mama is pregnant. How did that happen? How is that possible? Because they are not even talking to each other. The financial issues probably, you know, when we were growing up, there were these jeans which had another small pocket there. Yeah, so when Mama once sold, that's why Baba would take coins and give it to Mama. That's how they manage their finances. Yeah. But modern marriages, they really want people to be communicating. They really want people to be taught financial management in the marriage. Are you guys doing any of those things, or you just say they do Vega? Are you guys teaching them any of those things?
Apparently, I had not yet gotten to some of those topics, but I think they will be good. I'll take that idea as well, to just go all out and talk about such issues. I was talking about maturity as graduation. I was mainly focusing for the past weeks on building them to know that when I am 10 years old, if I don't become 10 the day I say happy birthday, no, I become 10 by overcoming different challenges. Like, for example, if someone is saying I'm 14 and is looking at himself and saying I'm 14, I have to ask you, what shows that you are 14 besides the height and the number? What is it that you can show me? Are you now able to do your bed? Are you now able to clean the house? Are you now able to plan your day? Are you now able to save your own money? And come to me and say that I have saved 20, I'm short of 5. Can you top me up? Or you are still at the age where your sister is with 7 and you are doing the same. So
yeah, we've got a 14-year-old behind the camera here, so I hope he's hearing. You make your bed, you save your money. If you receive money for your birthday, you make sure you save something. You don't just go to squander it. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if the 14-year-old is hearing that.
Yeah, those are milestones. Those are some of the milestones.
Yeah, so that's good, Pastor. Now you spoke about how you do some videos, sometimes doing household chores, sometimes you are washing dishes, sometimes you are mowing the yard, sometimes you are cooking. I wanted to come to a point where I would ask you how your religion is addressing the challenges of the 21st century relationships, such as gender equality, or dual income households. Those are challenges. Those are big challenges. We've got dual incomes. We've got the gender equality issue where we are probably going genderless in terms of household roles. Income. Someone could get married to last on our other episode we spoke about how to balance when the wife is earning more than the husband. Are we teaching boys on all those things? Because I don't think we are ready enough for that, or there are certain roles that I'm not sure our women are ready for. How are you going to touch, or how do you touch on those the 21st century challenges in the household?
Yeah, I think on those, I'm having two approaches. Looking at from my side. The first approach is firefighting on those that are already damaged. There are those that are already damaged because they are coming from a background in Zimbabwe. Some are coming from a culture where the man does everything with regards to the finances. The wife doesn't have to know. And some are coming from a perspective where the wife is just there to give children. Then we have a generation that is born here, which is liberal, and they have got rights that they claim, but in the process they break or they deprive you as a parent your right to raise them, to nurture them. Like they can tell you, I've got my right not to do the dishes, but in my right to mentor you, I have to train you to do the dishes. So that when you are going to stay alone, like when you get the independence, will you be able to be independent? Are you independent enough? Or you go and survive on takeaways because you don't want to do dishes? You'll be buying clothes every day because you don't want to wash. So we have got those two extremes in our, actually there are actually three. We have that other extreme, and we have those who are in between, who can say this is okay, this is okay-ish. So as a pastor, I have to try and make sure that I work with the liberals, those who are entitled, who say I've got my rights, and build them to an understanding that maturity is all about responsibility. As much as I have my rights, I also have a right to be responsible. And I take those who are saying I've got culture shock and build them to know that no, you won't die if you do your dishes. So I'm having that kind of teachings even on social media to try and address that issue. But it's something that even our faith may need to come up with a position to say, with these 21st centuries, big names should come up with write-ups that address those issues. I'm also having mine, which I'm calling the fish out of the water. It's very soon, I think I'll release it most probably 2025, 2026, which is talking about those issues. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'm hoping it's gonna help, especially I've got the plight and my heart bleeds for boys, because I feel like everywhere we are having women's rights, girls' right, girl child, but the boy child is really being neglected. So religion encompasses a lot of things, or Christianity starts from family, right? From my house. That's where Christianity starts, and then we probably go to the cell level, cell group, and then we go to church. What role do family or religious leaders play in preparing boys for marriage? Because we also need to be conscious in letting families know that it's also their responsibility to like you spoke about the culture. We can be in one church, but we have so many different cultures. So how are you empowering families to know that they also have a great responsibility to prepare boys for marriage, especially their culture is not your culture. You can't teach someone, you can teach someone from a biblical perspective, which is general, but the cultural elements need to be, or the cultural values need to be taught in the house, in the church. Because we have problems in the church, Pastor. Let me tell you, I once had someone who asked me, who said to me, we want to speak in Shona, in church, because that's our culture. So our children need to have the culture. And I said to them, it's not my responsibility to teach your children their culture. Language is taught at home. What if I'm not Shona? You get it?
Yeah.
How am I going to teach your children your culture? So are we making families understand that the responsibility of Christianity starts at home? The responsibility of your son starts at home. If you want him to learn your language, teach him at home, not to make the church the language center.
Yeah.
So if you can't even teach them your language at home, how are you going to teach them about? How are you going to prepare them for marriage at home? Because yes, at church we've got the corporate issues that we're going to do, but there are some cultural nitty-gritties that need to be taught at home. What role, or are you empowering families to do that? Or you are letting them believe you are the superhero, you know, bring them to the pastor, I'm going to teach them how to go to heaven, I'm going to teach them how to get married, I'm going to teach them everything. How are you empowering families? How are you giving this responsibility back to families to say there are certain issues that need to be addressed at cultural and family level?
On that one, I think I have to admit, I've been falling short. I've been falling short on that one. But what I was doing is, personally, as a father, I was also building my kids, you know, trying to model a family that nurtures kids. Because I'm like in Australia, I'm still new here. And I discovered that family households here in Australia are under attack. The system is very difficult for parents to be together for a meal with the kids, especially when it comes to shift work, because the other one is coming in and the other one is going out. So there might be need for us to rebuild that confidence of family. The need for us to show the parents that family is not the building, family is the emotional connection. And most of the issues that are then affecting the boys, especially the boy child and even the girls, or most of our kids are being affected by the missing family and the available houses. Houses are available.
Also, there are houses available, but they are missing families.
Missing families.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
All right. I hope that will work. And then, how do you encourage discussions about relationships and expectations before marriage? Because, like, what happens is we are letting children who are preparing to get married, the boy and the girl, they're the ones that are discussing expectations of each other. You know, this is what, maybe they're giving each other promises in the backyard. I promise to take care of you. I promise to be the father of your children. The dreams are being shared during moments of infatuation where, they are in love. They can't really be, they can't let emotions down when they are talking about these issues. Are you encouraging these discussions from a point where someone is not emotional anymore? Because if my son here gets into a relationship, no matter how bad I feel the girl is, it's very difficult for me to then say to him, sit down, young man, this girl is not good for you. Because you can't fight someone who is already in. But if we talk about expectations, to say this, when you are looking to get married, this is what you are looking at. He chooses before, or we talk before he gets deep into it. It's difficult to rescue someone who is already sinking in the water. You can't start teaching me to swim when I'm already drowning. You get what I'm saying? So are you encouraging these talks? Are you encouraging these discussions, expectations in marriage and relationships? Are you encouraging this?
I would say yes and no. No, in the sense that I might not be having much connection with the marrying age, especially here. But back home, I used to have a group of boys. They would come and we would talk about these issues before they get into relationships. So here I've got teenagers that I meet, and some other 7-8 year olds that are friends to my kids. So they usually come for play dates. So we've got what we are calling transformative play dates, where when they come, we start talking about how someone can make your emotions a toy. When someone makes you a toy emotionally, they are going to break you like what they do with their toys, and you are not going to function anymore. That is preparing them for the expectations in marriage. To say, when I see someone who plays around with my emotions, that's not a good person. Even when we get into a relationship, they are going to break me like a toy. Yeah. So I think that's the far I have gone right now.
Yeah. So I just want to probably encourage you, as you are a Christian leader, there has to be an intentional way to start bringing boys together and get them ready for marriage, because we have been raised to be emotionless as men.
Yeah.
But I feel like the 21st century we are supposed to raise boys that have got emotions. I was laughing on this program. We last released an episode probably in May or something. I've seen lots of men who will be asking me about the program. What's happening to our program? I say, what do you mean our program? I've never seen you comment. I've never seen you say anything. But those are men.
Yeah.
They see it, they like it, they don't say anything. And they expect it to keep on running. That's how we were raised. We don't express our emotions.
Yeah.
We don't, soldier. That's how we're raised. Machen, shinga, and everything. But we are saying we need to be able to impart something stronger in our boys.
Yeah.
Something that can help them to express themselves. Something that can help them not to. That's why if you find suicide cases today, 3/4 of them are men. Because we bottle in, we don't talk, we don't say anything, and that's it. So anyway, I wanted to ask something on the question of the dynamics. I think we spoke about some few issues here. How has your religion evolved to address the unique pressures and dynamics of marriage in the 21st century? Is there any evolution in your religion to address the dynamics of marriage in the 21st century? Now we are not just talking about the boys, but marriage in general. Is there any evolution right now in your religion too? But the dynamics of marriage in the 21st century, they are just too many. Yeah. Has your religion evolved?
I would think to some extent it has, though it might not have evolved to the expected extent. We have lost quite a number of elements that we are supposed to have caught up with. But we are lagging behind a bit. But we have evolved. We are now finding marriage counselors who are coming out openly to say, I do marriage counseling only. I do marriage mentorship. I do life coaching in marriages. We are now having all those. It's how the religion has evolved. And we are now having people who are not pastors going online saying, I'm a Christian, I'm a life coach. I'm a Christian, I'm a marriage coach. I'm a Christian, I'm this. So I think we have evolved in that we are releasing responsibility from the pastors, and we are putting it even into young guys. We have other young guys who are now doing videos online talking about some of the issues. So I think that is an involvement that is necessary.
Yeah, because when I was researching on another subject online, on the subject of sexuality, I found out that, I didn't know this, but I found out that there are people, non-Christian, who are now holding what are called sex workshops. Like a workshop just to talk about sexual issues. And they are going to talk about them from their own perspective, not from Christian perspective. Which means if there are certain things that you don't believe in, they are going to be talked about there, and people will say this is right. So when I'm asking about evolution, have we reached a point where as a church we can organize something that is not couples, but we organize something and label it sex workshop?
Yeah, that's where we are still lagging. I think we haven't grown to that extent. We don't see what church. It's called church.
So we want to see a poster that then says with Pastor Bright Mapokotera, says workshop. Yeah, we'll not talk, but workshop. Because the truth of the matter, like I told you that we were taught in the streets.
Yeah.
In the church, we a lot of things are neglected.
Yeah.
But in the streets, what they teach you, in the streets, they can tell you that they can encourage you to chase after a woman with stretch marks. Because they tell you that she's the best. That's the street talk. And if that is the street talk, who is going to take that talk out of my mind and begin to teach me the right things? If we are not going to have these workshops, if we are not going to have these things, especially workshops, especially about sex, from boys from a certain age, we start teaching them. We start telling them that this age, you are now 14, you can get a girl pregnant.
Yeah.
We start, I mean,
Yeah.
if we don't do that, who is doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we don't teach them the subject of consent, they are going to end up in jail.
Yeah.
These are things that we probably want to block our ears and think of heaven. Just teach them about heaven, teach them to Sunday school, teach them memory verses, let them do barbecues as youths and so forth. All those things are not wrong, but I'm simply saying there are subjects that we are probably neglecting. So that's why I was asking, how are you planning? Let's say you are given the mandate. Let's say you are now running, let's say you are running your church independently.
Oh, I'm the president of AFM International.
Yeah, you're the president of AFM International. What curriculums are you going to introduce to your church to say, no, for the purposes of marriages and for the purposes of boys, let's start talking about these subjects? Because at International AFM, I know there is what is called men's fellowship.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have done any gathering, but those gatherings that they do, the first thing that will be happening at those gatherings is that people will start singing their hymns, and after singing the hymns, they're going to pray for an hour, and then I don't know. But I'm saying we have to. You are a musician. I don't never think I'm against music.
No,
but I want you to understand that there are levels and times when you are supposed to abandon the music and make men sit down and start talking.
Yeah.
Make men sit down, maybe probably ask them one by one, how many hours and how many minutes are you taking in the bedroom? What is happening? Do you have any problems? Do you have any issues? We need to be practical about these issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. The evolution. If you are the president, what are you going to do?
I think the main thing that I would do, now I'm talking like from my perspective, is to go down into the people. Because some of the people who are doing some of those workshops, they belong to a certain faith and they are not known there. So they hide and they are ashamed of showing that I'm a Christian, though they go to church. I know of a person who does other aerobics on social media, who, when he went to this other church, everyone was looking at him like, "Anotuna matter," you know, because there's still that stigma. I would try and work out to remove that stigma and allow those people with that confidence to be trained on our faith, so that when they do their workshops, it's not every pastor who is going to do those workshops. It's not every pastor who is a good marriage counselor. But within that church, you may find when God puts you at a place and you are not a good marriage counselor, God will give you a couple which is good. If you fail to identify that couple and you think you can do it alone, the marriage counseling will die. So I would promote a situation whereby we release those who have got those gifts, and we invite them to come out to open. And we authenticate them by checking their content and guiding it, not killing it, guiding it so that it remains relevant to our faith, and even eliminate some questionable elements so that they give a product which is good to the community. We have the people that are able to do that. but they are still hiding. That's all I can say.
All right, thank you. Yeah, because I was looking at the word merging. Whatever they are doing, we then merge with the Christian faith.
Yeah.
We bring whatever they are teaching and then we merge with it. I think that would be a brilliant idea, because if we hide and hibernate, we are still not going to be able to raise people. But anyway, the last question that I wanted to ask is, in what ways does your religion help boys navigate societal changes while staying true to traditional marital values? So there are lots of societal changes that are happening.
Yeah.
You get to school, kids are now being told, be who you are. You don't have to be called a boy or a girl. These are societal changes that might actually confuse the boys. How are you teaching them to navigate? Or you just stand on the pulpit and you just start hammering, he created a man and a woman, and that's it. And then when they go to school, the teacher is calmly and patiently mentoring them and teaching them, telling them that, no, you be what you want to be.
From my angle, I've had some discussions. There are times when I would have discussions even in church. I would try and have discussions even with some youths in some platforms to try and talk about those issues. I believe so much in preaching all the services. So I've created platforms where I talk and discuss with the kids and with the families as well on some of those issues. And touching on the societal changes, I make sure that they allow the society to change and they embrace the changes in the society, but without changing their identity.
All right.
To say, this is who I am. I am Tehila, this is me. And I do 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There is a saying by this one wise man which says, the strong people are those who know what they don't know. They know that I don't know this.
Oh, yeah.
So when they know that I don't know this, and then they know that this I know, and when they are faced with a situation, they don't react to things they don't know as if they know them. But what they don't know, they treat it like I don't know. So you are cautious, you are careful. So when the society is bringing those changes, you have to be yourself and have things that you say, this I don't do. You are my friend, we are friends, we will play together. But when it comes to this, I don't do that. And they don't compromise for the sake of belonging. They don't get into a community by sacrificing who they are, but they go into the community by offering who they are. To say, I'm offering what I have, I'm not prepared to kill it. I want you to have it alive. If you can't have me alive, then I can't belong here. So that's how we have been working with the youths and the teenagers on that.
Thank you so much, Pastor. That's powerful, and I really appreciate. And I think these the questions and issues that I felt like asking you concerning the Christianity and religion, I want to encourage our viewers out there. If you have any questions or if you have any follow-up questions that you have on this subject, Pastor Mapokotera is available to come back and sit on this platform and discuss again. But I just want to say thank you. I hope you are going to come up with, I hope this discussion has made you see where Christianity is falling short, and probably within your own powers, you are going to come up with certain issues that are going to become remedies to help us to raise powerful and strong boys, especially when it comes to preparing them for marriage. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for this. I have also learned quite a lot, and it was very insightful.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we have for our program today. Thank you.
I am human, did not feel I obey. Kutendere murume, I haisi mosha. Kuti ndakabva mugota, kuti ndiri murume ndine ndebvu haisi mosha. Dzimwe nguva ndebvu dzinotsva, pasina anondiwota. Kuti handicheme zvakatangarini,